Hello and welcome to my channel, Making It Fabulous by Colleen. In today's video, I am going to go back to the basics. It's going to be Makeup 101. I'm very excited to bring this to you today. Oftentimes when people hear that I have a YouTube channel that focuses on makeup and skincare tips, they tell me that they don't know how to apply makeup, they don't know where to start. I can't wait to help you amp up your makeup routine or maybe just get started. So let's get into these 10 easy steps that anybody can do, and we can do them together. Okay, step one. First of all, we want to make sure that our face is ready for makeup and it is moisturized, that we've put on our SPF, and we are ready for primer. So I typically go in with the Naturium moisturizer and then I put some kind of SPF on. Today I used the e.l.f. Whoa Glow primer and it has SPF in it. So I put that on my face and just kind of let it sink in. This is a really nice one. Like I said, it does have SPF in it. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone, so to speak. And it does have a little bit of a tint to it. So I like it. I really, it gives, just as the name implies, a little glow to the face. So hopefully you can see I have a little bit of glow. With primers, there are several different kinds that you can get. So if you have large pores, like usually right in here, you might want to use a pore minimizer. I happen to like this one by L'Oreal. It is a 24-hour pore minimizer, and this is really, really lovely. This is another one that I like by Wet n Wild, and my skin is normal to dry. So this particular primer has an essence in it, and it says it's a 5-in-1. So it smooths, conditions, refines pores, balances, and prolongs makeup. It prolongs makeup. There's also, which I don't have because I don't have oily skin, there are primers for oily skin to mattify the skin a little bit before you put your foundation on. And you know, people say, well, can I skip primer? I say no. And the reason I say no is because it really provides a good base for you to put your foundation on. So think of it as something between the skin and your makeup, and it just kind of evens things out. The next step, step 3, is foundation. I have a couple of options with foundation. Powder foundation, so this one is by L'Oreal, and it's a very nice foundation. I have used it. Sometimes I will use it just to touch up, but it's very finely milled. It's a really nice foundation. e.l.f. makes another powder foundation. There are several out there. If you have dry skin, you want to kind of shy away from a powder foundation because it might dry your face out even more and it will accentuate those dry patches. So this is, if you have oily skin, a powder foundation might be a great idea. Or if you have normal combo skin, it can also, it's a real easy way to apply it. So that's when I would use a powder. There are also skin tints. So here is a skin tint that I happen to love, and this is by Elastin. And if I am going, to go to the grocery store, or if I'm going for a walk, something like that, I'll throw a skin tint on my face. And this, just as it implies, is a tint to your skin. This one I like. It provides SPF in it, and it says SPF of 36. So again, this is another great option because it is a 2-in-1 kind of product. So if you just want a very sheer application, something that is just going to sort of even out your skin tone, a skin tint might be a good idea. Even for a beginner, at least some place to start, a skin tint might be a good idea. I think that the most common foundation is a liquid foundation. For liquid foundations, there are, again, a variety of different types. So there are matte foundations. So if you have oily skin, you might want to give consideration to a matte foundation. So this is one, and it is matte and poreless. It's by Maybelline Fit Me. So this is a good option for people with oily skin to use a matte. There's also dewy, hydrating foundations. So that would be if you have normal to maybe dry skin, you would want to consider that. There's also long wearing. So if you need it to last all day or for a special occasion, you might want to wear a long wearing. For today, we are going to just stick with the L'Oreal True Match, and this is a very blendable, and it's just a very middle of the road, beautiful foundation. I think that the most important thing, I'm gonna put this on the back of my hand and just 2 pumps. I think the most important thing is to make sure that you get a good color match. So for me, in this particular brand, I am W4. So it is a light finish and it is a warm tone. So that's what the W means, warm. So this particular foundation comes in a whole bunch of different shades, so you can figure out which one is best. So I like to put it on with my hands, my fingers first, and then just kind of go in and work it around, sort of stipple it in with a foundation brush. So another thing to consider, different coverages. So there's light, medium, and full coverage. So for the purpose of today, and I think for someone just starting out, you would want to try a light or a medium finish foundation. So again, just make sure it is all over your face. There's a little bit left. I'm going to wipe that off. And I am going to go in with a beauty blender. This is the one I like to use. It is Beaky Sponge. I get it on Amazon, and they're very inexpensive, and I just love the shape of this. If you do apply too much foundation, a good rule of thumb is that because this is a sponge, it will soak it up. But what I'm doing right now is pressing it into my skin so that when I do put the powder on or this to set it, this is all sort of meshed into my skin. So the key to foundation is just making sure that you do get a good color match. I think that's why I like the L'Oreal one and would suggest this one, because there are so many different types of colors available, and it's a true match. That's the name of the foundation, and it kind of mixes with different pigments, different skin tones. Okay, next up, our next step is concealer. So just like foundations, there's different shades. There are different kinds. Some are provide a little bit more coverage, some not so much. Once again, less is more. This is by Revlon. It's the Color Stay Skin Awakening. So it has caffeine and vitamin C in it. And I happen to like this one because it just goes on very nicely. And what I like to do is just use my ring finger and just apply it going up. Another thing that you can do with the concealer is use it as an eyeshadow primer. I'm not going to do that today. We will get to that step in a second. But make sure you work it up to here. Some people say that they don't need concealers, but it definitely helps your under eyes, especially if you have any discoloration, any dark circles. Sometimes they're red or purpley. So a concealer can be very good for that. Now, if you don't have any imperfections underneath, then skip this step. So you can see that just kind of helped with the discoloration and just kind of evened things out. So a concealer gives a little bit extra coverage under those eyes and really helps to brighten and awaken the under eye. You could either use a powder in a compact, or you could use a loose powder. So for the newbies out there, I would consider using a loose powder. And the reason this is Milani Conceal and Perfect, and the reason I say that is because the loose powder will give you a little bit less coverage than going in with a powder in a compact. So I think, again, less is more, but this is a really finely milled powder. So I just want to dip into it. I want to use a really big brush, and I just want to focus on the areas that maybe your foundation might sink into and or this T-zone. So by T-zone, I mean up here, down here, and it's really where the foundation might wear off the quickest. Now, if you have really dry skin, you may not need powder. If you have really oily skin, you might need a little extra powder. So like I said, mine is normal to dry skin, so I just want to give it a little brush over. And you can see that by using that powder, it just gave it a beautiful blurred look. I'm gonna combine blush, bronzer, and highlighter in this step because you don't need to do all of them, but make sure you at least do the blush. So this is a really beautiful, inexpensive palette, and I think that it is a great place to start. So I'm gonna mix these two shades of the bronzer and again tap it off. Now with the bronzer, I'm gonna go from the top of my ear only halfway, and I am going to stamp it in. Just stamp that in. Go on the other side and just do the same thing. I forgot to put earrings on this morning. I'm gonna have to go back and put some earrings on. Okay, so again, just dipping into both of these and stamping this in. Just stipple, stipple, stipple. That's it. And then once you get the amount that you want on, then let's blend it. Let's just blend it around the edges very, very lightly. Don't go in with a heavy hand, and just blend it all together. See how this blends out beautifully. So a good rule of thumb is to make sure that things are going up. Make sure you don't go too far down because you want everything to be lifted. Okay. See how easy that blended out, and not a lot. I'm gonna take that same brush and I'm gonna go in, again, dipping into both of those. And when I put my blush on, I wanna go on the apples of my cheeks, and I will do both sides, apples of my cheeks, and then I'm gonna work it up. And put that down on my lap. I'm gonna work it up and just really try to blend it in with that bronzer. Now, people say, well, what color should I use? Should I use peach? Should I use pink? What shade? It really depends. Oftentimes, I'll bring it over my nose a little bit, whatever's left on that brush. And again, I just want to blend all of this together. You could use pink, you could use, whatever you like. I just love this particular palette because I think it's a great all-in-one. It'll be something that I take on vacation with me. I'm now just going in and pressing all around the edges to make sure that there are no harsh lines, that everything is blended out. And I'm now gonna go in, these are both highlighters. I'm gonna go in and just, again, tap into both of them. And I'm going to put this on the high points of my cheek. Just a little tiny bit. Don't go crazy, just a little tiny bit. Just again, make sure that it's all blended in. And you can see I really only did 2 dips, one for each side, And now I'm just patting it out. See what a nice job that did? You don't need to put it all over where your blush and your bronzer is. Just put it on the high points of your cheek. You don't need to go crazy, okay? So that's it. Wasn't that easy? Again, you don't have to do all three. I start with bronzer, I go to my blush, and then I do a little bit of a highlight, and that's it. You know, I feel like the bronzer just kind of gives your face a glow. Oftentimes, what you can do with a bronzer is, today I just wanted to put a little bit here, but with the bronzer, a lot of times people will put it up here into their brow and then take it and make a 3. This is a backwards 3, but that is a good rule of thumb. Just kind of taking it up there. These are the areas that you would want to bronze. So again, not a necessary step, but once you get the hang of it, just going here and then down. See how that 3 is? That's generally where you want to put the bronzer. Okay, the next step, and a step that you don't want to forget, your eyebrows. So just like every other part that we've talked about, it varies. It depends on, some people have thin brows, some people have thick brows, some people have unruly brows. Basically what you want to do is make sure that you're filling them in. So no patches, that you're at least giving your eyebrow a little bit of definition. I'm using the e.l.f. brow wiz, and I just very little bit. This is a tinted one, so they come in, you know, clear, so it just depends. But once again, less is more. You don't want to use a brow product that is too dark or too light. But again, you just want to fill in those little patchy areas. So that's all I'm going to do with my brows. But again, it really varies depending on the type of brows you have. The eyes, my favorite thing. So some people love blush, some people love bronzer. I like the eyes. I like to do my eyes. And again, there's a whole bunch of different types of primers. I happen to like this one by e.l.f. And I also like the Milani one. You'll see me using that a lot. But making sure that you blend this in and that there's no little creases is important. And I'm gonna take the brush that I'm gonna use for my color today. I'm just gonna go in there, wipe it off really good, and just give it a nice little canvas to further set that. Because sometimes primers can crease a little bit, and you wanna make sure everything is really well blended and that there are no creases before you put your eyeshadow on. So I think that, and I've shown these before, these Milani Gilded Minis, they're under $10 and it gives you the full eye look. You have so many different options with these. There's a rose palette. There is a sort of pinky peach palette. And then this one's more in the golds and more sort of bronzy looking. There's 2 other ones as well. Those are mattes. I would suggest getting one of these because it does have, I think there's one other one that has both shimmer and matte shades. Also, another great option would be these e.l.f. bite-size minis. I have one in sort of rose mauve colors, and then the different brown ones. So either one of these a good option. Today I am going to do a really simple eye look, and I'm going to be using the Milani. This one is It's All Rosé. But today I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to go in with and just kind of mix these two. They're both matte shades, and I'm just going to go in the crease of my eyelid, and I'm just gonna work it up. You really don't have to use a ton of different colors here, just work it up. And again, I'm gonna do the same thing on this side, And another thing I like about these Milani Gilded Minis is that they are very pigmented, which could be a good or a bad thing. Usually with beginner looks, you don't want to go too pigmented. So I think that 2 dips into this is going to be enough for anybody. And again, another good rule of thumb is that you don't want that shadow to go beyond where that again, resting it against your nose. You do not want it to go past that eyeshadow look. And what you can do is take a makeup wipe and wipe it up, whatever. But I oftentimes just kind of spread it out just like that so that it goes from the color to sheer and it just kind of blends out. But you don't want anything to go too far out and you don't want it to go down because you want everything lifted. You want everything lifted. So see what a nice transition that is. I said I was only going to do 2, but again, there's nothing left on that brush. It's pretty empty at this point. I'm going to go in and just put a little under my brow. And what I'm doing here is just giving that brow something to open up my eye, and it is helping to blend that upper shade. So that's it. Now for the fun part, I am gonna go in with this lightest shimmer shade and I'm just gonna pack it on my lid. Typically you see me do it a little bit differently, but I'm gonna take my ring finger and just press it on the lid. You don't need to go crazy. 1 dip in would be enough. If you want to get a little extra pigment, then do 2 swipes with your finger, but you don't need a lot here. So isn't that a pretty look? And again, just blending it all together. Now, keeping with the eyes, I am going to put on a little bit of eyeliner, and I do not want you to put it on the bottom. I just want you to put a little bit on the top. We're not going to do any wings. And bring it from the outside and just work it into that lash line. And you don't even have to go all the way over. Just go like maybe 2/3 of the way. And I am going to use my Real Techniques and just holding it at the end, just blend it. You don't want any harsh lines. You just want a little bit of definition and a little bit of color there. There's nothing on this brush. I am just smudging it a little bit so that there's no harsh lines. Now, I'm gonna take that same brush. I am gonna put just a little bit of this lightest color underneath, and I'm only gonna go halfway. And then I'm gonna bring it so that it meets the top. Halfway. And for our look today, I have a real mess here. You guys wanna see what this looks like? You wouldn't believe it. I'm going to use the Maybelline Sky High Mascara. And I'm gonna do one eye with my mascara, and then I'm gonna show you what a difference this is gonna make. Okay, so I am done applying the mascara to this eye, and can you see what a difference a little bit of mascara does? Just put a little bit on the bottom. You don't wanna go crazy. And like I said, please don't put too much liner on the bottom. Okay, so for the lips, you have a wide variety of different choices. You could use a lipstick. You could use a lip stain. You could take a lip liner and put the liner on and then budge it or smudge it into your lips and put a lip gloss on top of it. There's a number of different things. Today, I'm going to use the Color Stay Suede Ink lipstick. This is just a nice hint of color. I feel like it's my lips, but a little bit better. It is a little bit matte, so if you don't like that, you could put a lip gloss on. This one's by Milani, gloss. I'm just gonna put it on my bottom and just sort of tap that in and then work it all around. So this will give a little extra, that tastes really good too. So that is the lips. So our face is almost done. So what I'm going to do is go in with the last step, step number 10, and that is, are you ready for it? Setting spray. Now, you might say, do I really need to do setting spray? The answer is yes. So today I am going to go in with the e.l.f. Dewy Coconut Setting Mist. And then I'm gonna spray that all over my face, just a couple dabs will do ya, a couple sprays. And then I like to go in and those, basically the places that I put that setting powder that I wanted to make sure it's set down. And this also helps to just melt all of the makeup together. So a setting mist is a very good idea to use. So I hope that you found this video helpful. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And let me know if you have any suggestions for beginners or people that just want to maybe amp up their makeup look a little bit, but don't want to go too crazy. I think that this is a really nice, easy makeup look, and I hope you agree. And once again, if you are not subscribed to my channel, please consider subscribing. I would appreciate it. So with that, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.